my name is Margaret Sass. I'm with Purdue University, and we are with 3ETV. We're going to be talking about a really great program that's new called Mix, and we're going to be talking to Annette and McKenna. So Annette, you are running this program, right? So can you give me a little bit of more details regarding it, when it's supposed to come out?
Sure. MIX stands for Multinational Integration Exchange.
Okay.
And it belongs to international programs. But more than creating a program, I'm trying to change just the atmosphere on campus from one of groups of international students on one side and domestic students on the other. And so the key word to all of this is integration. It's at the heart of MIX, so it's the Multinational Integration Exchange. You can find us in Young Hall.
In Young Hall. I like the word mix because it means a lot, right?
Right.
The integration part of it.
So the students who are now currently domestic students on campus and international students can apply to be either a Mix D, standing for Mixed Domestic,
Okay.
or to be a Mixie, which is a Mix I, a Mix International Returning Student.
So when does the program begin?
When does it begin? I think it began when we started having call-outs and just spreading a vision for what it is we're trying to do. When you think about that I'm creating a program, it officially rolls out whenever the new students arrive in August. It's the president's vision that every new international student would have a meaningful interaction with an American student. So that happens when the students arrive. But first, I really have to cast a vision under domestic students that this needs to happen. So it started last month.
Did it?
Yeah.
So you mentioned you want to change the culture a little bit, right? Yeah. So what would you classify the culture being right now at Purdue University?
When I ask students if integration is a problem, they say yes. If you walk across campus, there's Chinese students talking to one another, and Indian students, and Korean students, and American students. But there's very rarely, unless there's a class project, there's not integration.
Right.
And when I ask them if that's a problem, they say yes. And then when I ask them what the solution is, they say if the administration would build a bridge, that they would cross it. They just don't know how to get out of their comfort zone of their own volition, but that if we would show them how, that they would do it. They're willing, they just don't know how.
So it kind of started about a month ago, right?
Yes.
And can you give me some details about what type of activities are you currently doing or you plan on doing for them to actually mix together?
Yes. So the reason I said it started last month was first I cast a vision for the advisors to send me students. Then we had call-outs in which I cast the vision to the students. And then those that really caught the fire, they've been coming for interviews all week.
Wow.
Then they'll interview, the other half will interview after spring break. Then we'll have cross-cultural training the first 2 weekends in April. And then I'll tell them goodbye. But those that are staying for summer break are already going to, not summer break, but summer school. They're going to try this with a group of Russian students who come and do things at the research park this summer.
Wow.
And so they're going to integrate with them for various activities. Those that go home for the summer will get a list of students in July that they can contact and say, I'm already a student at Purdue. Do you have questions that you'd like to ask a real life student? And I can't wait to meet you when you arrive in August, so that when that student arrives, they know who they're looking for. There's one person on campus that they already know that they've kind of created a relationship via email and Facebook with.
That's neat.
Then, when they're actually here, we'll have a series of welcome events. We will teach them about football, and then they'll teach us about soccer. We will teach them about traditions in October, about Halloween and all those ugly decorations we have. And then we will take them, or they'll take us, however you want to look at it, on a bus trip down to Indy to see the terracotta soldiers from China. And we feel like if we keep we teach them and then they teach us, after a while there won't be so much of a them and a us, there'll be more of a leveling of becoming friends. So football and then soccer, and then Halloween, and then terracotta soldiers, and it'll go back and forth like that. In addition, every week the students will be encouraged to check up on one another that they've been assigned and make sure that they're doing well. But we think that when other students begin to see this happening, that they'll want to join in. And so it won't be a static, oh, well, you didn't join in April. You didn't go through the training. It'll be, sure, bring your friends. The more the merrier. We want everybody involved. And so we will also invite like the BGRI students to come join us. And just bring your circle of friends, because we don't want it to be stagnant. We want this student and this student showing and introducing their whole circle of friends to one another.
Wow.
When we get to fall break,
Yes.
the student has they can walk away if they want to, but most don't. You mentioned we have McKenna in the studio with us. McKenna caught the fire 3 years ago, and every time I want to give her a new student, she's just right there ready.
So McKenna, you caught the fire.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences working with Annette and also the other different programs here on campus?
Yeah, I've been working with Annette, like she said, for 3 years. It started out in a program called You Are Global through the residence halls, and they'd pair domestic students with international students. And then the program grew and got to be what BGRI is. And so I think something close to 30 students I've been assigned to welcome to Purdue and introduce to campus and things like that. And it's been quite the experience. You have just the widest range of personalities and different types of people from different places that you get to work with. So at the same time as I feel like I'm helping them acclimate to Purdue, I'm learning so much from the students that I get to work with. So it's been really great so far.
So you mentioned BGRI. I just want to go over that quickly so people know what that is. Can you kind of explain it, since you said you participated in it a little bit, right?
I think it's changing now, but in
Okay.
the past it's been the week before BGR. It's sort of a special introduction for international students, because BGR kind of goes over life at Purdue, but they still need introduction to life in the U.S.
Right.
And so all the background that international students miss from not going to high school here, we kind of fill them in that week. And they also come over to the United States without a lot of times phones or bank accounts or betting or anything like that. And so we spend that time getting them acclimated to the way that West Lafayette is laid out and where they can find everything they need and stuff like that.
So those students are coming out for BGRI. Will they be contacted through Facebook as well? Because you mentioned you have students, domestic students, that may be communicating via Facebook or email and stuff. Will they be meeting at BGRI or after that event, do you think?
I think we need to back up just a second. Okay. So it's the president's vision that every new student would have a meaningful interaction with an American. So through Boiler Gold Rush International, it will host 700 students. But there's 12 or 1,300 new international students coming.
Okay.
So that leaves 500 or 600 that we don't know if they're going to get the meaningful interaction if Mix doesn't provide it. So the first, just this first wave, this first go round, we see that as a target that is, it's an obvious target.
Right.
You have to start somewhere.
Right.
So we're going to start with those students who did not attend Boiler Gold Rush International.
Okay, okay. And you are going to participate with Mix directly, right? So what is going to be your exact role in that?
I'll be a Mix D, and I'll be paired with a Mixie.
A mix in.
Right.
5 mix ins. Okay,
Right.
let's go over this again.
Wow.
Okay.
Technology's still new to me.
And we've never, this is a new thing. We are rolling this terminology out on you. So
All right.
if
I'm
we
ready.
forget it, it's because we haven't used it. Okay.
Okay.
So what the president said was that he wanted every new international student to have a meaningful interaction with international students,
Right.
and vice versa. But what we found in the past was that the current international student also needs a voice in that. Often the current international student knows what the questions are that the new international student has.
Right.
And the American student knows about the culture and what they need to know that way.
Right.
So I'm going to match a mix D,
Okay.
a domestic student, and a mix E, an international student, with these 5 new international students. And we're going to call them the mix-ins because we're mixing them in, right? We're mixing them into the...
I can see that, yes.
Yeah. Okay, now if you just don't like this terminology, you just say it because, like I say, we're rolling it out on
I
you.
think it's gonna be,
It is kind of
actually.
new. And so we're calling them the mix-ins because if you think about it, you go to Dairy Queen and you say, I want to order vanilla ice cream, but I want you to mix in that good stuff, then that turns into a blizzard, right?
Yes, it does.
Well, that's what adds excitement and energy to our campus and makes it different from IU and all the other campuses, is we have all these international students mixed in, but if we don't take advantage of that,
right.
we might as well just be on any other campus.
Right.
So we need to be learning from one another. And so, yes, the mixed Ds and the mixed Es are going to lead the mixed Ns.
So you're a mixed
To an
D.
She is a mixed D.
And you're going to be partnering up with the mixed E.
Yes.
And you're going to have how many mixed Ns? 5. And so how many? And how many mixed Ds do you have right now, or you're going to have, because you're still interviewing, right?
My goal is 100.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it would be a ratio of approximately 1 to 5.
Oh, okay. That's a good ratio.
And when they go to things together, they're going to go to mixers. Is this cool or what?
Yeah, I have to admit.
And
I
you know
think
what
the
they're-
terminology is pretty cool.
And they're going to eat party mix.
Oh my.
And I can give mixes as prizes. And I mean, this is just too fun.
Wow. So there's gonna be all different types of mixed activities with mixed food and mixing people.
Right,
So it's all about mixture.
right. So for call-outs, they ate trail mix.
Okay. And how do you find out to become part of Trail Mix?
You mean a call-out?
Yes. How do you know about it?
Well,
Other than the call out by advertising it, yeah. How would you know about it?
well, the next one, is that what you want to know? The next one is Tuesday, March 25th, 6 o'clock, Matthews 210. And it's just sort of one to catch all those that I didn't get last week.
Okay.
And then if I need another one, we'll
Then you'll
put it
throw
out
one
there
out.
too.
So are you advertising these times in the residency halls or
Right.
throughout the campus?
Yeah, and on the cool signs and on flyers. And again, those advisors that sent me the first round just sent me excellent, excellent people. But I'd also like students who just found out they didn't get RA, or students who just found out they didn't get BGR leader, because often they are just really great candidates for this. They might be the quieter student for BGR or for RA, but they're that sensitive student that I need that can listen as well as lead rah-rah things, so that they can be sensitive to what the new international student needs.
Great. Well, thank you. We're going to go to a couple of commercials right now. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll be coming back with another student that's participating in Mix as well. Thank you, McKenna, for being here. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to 3ETV. We are discussing the new program called Mix, and we are back with Siddharth, right?
Yep.
So we're going to start with you, and McKenna, you're back as well. Can you give us a little details first about your Purdue activities? I mean, are you a student? What are you majoring in?
Yes, I'm a sophomore this year and I'm majoring in computer science. And yep.
So how did you learn about the Mix program?
Well, I was like last year I participated in BGRI, this Boiler Golders International with McKenna and under Annette's supervision. And so like we formed a very good relationship with Annette. And so whenever she does something new and exciting, she always lets us know so we can help her out and work together.
So you said you were part of BGRI and BGR. Is that going to be continuing this year?
Yes, so this year I am a supervisor for BGR.
Okay.
What that means is that this year the supervisors train new team leaders. Like that's what I did last year, I was a team leader. So this year I get to train team leaders for BGR and BGRI, and I get to tell them about how to, how to interact with students, what you should know about international students and different cultures and stuff like that.
So when does that training start for those
Well,
leaders?
so we started training as supervisors like 3 months ago, and we train team leaders after spring break, and they train until the week of, and then that's like 9th August, and then we start with BGR and BGRI.
So are you in interaction with them during the summer too?
Yes, actually we have like a lot of things that they like tasks that they can do, like talk to their students, and then they have like things we call like lab bags where we like ask them to do a bunch of things like find something out about a country and like let us like know what they found out and do some research and stuff like that. So yes.
So Annette mentioned some multicultural training that you're going to be receiving soon, right? Have you had any of that type of training beforehand due to all your experiences?
Yes, during BGRI, we do a lot of different trainings. Like we have people from different cultures come and talk to us about those cultures. Like we had someone from China come and talk to us about what it means to live in China, what it means to have an education there, and family values and stuff. As also we do like various activities. Like we did an activity where we learned everything that international students have to go through to get here, like how they apply for a visa, how they get a passport. We did a whole simulation for that, just so we actually feel what they feel in like some sense.
Did anything kind of stick in your mind about that training too, McKenna?
I think that it's definitely meant to encourage empathy, because it takes a lot to get visas and to get everything sorted to come over here. And I, as a domestic student, never put any thought into that or didn't realize at all the paperwork and the hassles and the lines and just all the stuff that goes into that. And so I think that our simulation does a pretty good job of capturing that, and it really helps me when I'm thinking about what the students I work with had to go through.
And you're talking about right when they have that first interaction in the United States with all the stuff that happened prior to getting here, so they might be tired and a little bit stressed and overwhelmed, right? And then you're kind of there to kind of help them through that process, which is really great. So you are going to be, let me get this terminology right, you're going to be a mixed D.
A mixed E.
Mixed E.
Because I'm international, so.
Okay. All right, that's right.
Yeah.
And you're the mixed D. Are you partnering together?
Well, that's what we want to do, because then we can be awesome together. But yeah, that's.
And then you're going to recruit the mixed ends,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And when do you start recruiting the mixed ends? Will that occur during the summertime?
I believe that we get their contact information in the summer. So Annette will let us know who we're paired with, and then we can go ahead and reach out to them.
So what is your form of reaching out to them? I'm curious.
It's different depending on where they're from.
Okay.
So I always start with emails.
Okay.
But a lot of times new students aren't used to checking their Purdue emails.
Right.
So it's not the easiest or most effective way to get in touch with them. So I always, my second form, I always say like, go ahead and add me on Facebook. And that way they can sort of, I know like when I'm going someplace new, I always like to look at pictures and things. So when I add them on Facebook, they can see all sorts of pictures. But a lot of times we get Chinese students and they can't use Facebook.
Right.
And so there's a couple different apps that you can get for your phones that is kind of like a texting type social media app. And so we use different ones of those. There's ones that are, I use WeChat and KakaoTalk, which are popular in like China and Korea.
Yep.
So
Cal Talk?
yeah, Kakao.
Okay.
So
they have a Facebook in China though, something similar, right?
yeah, it is difficult to understand if you can't
okay.
read Chinese though.
Okay, I was gonna say maybe you could join that
Yeah.
and talk to them, but if that's the challenge.
Yeah, it is. I've tried to to get introduced to that, it is very difficult. So.
So, and you mainly mentioned China because that's where a lot of our international students come
Yes.
from. But you receive other
Oh, yeah.
members, right, from
Yes.
different countries too. Can you mention a couple of countries that you've had direct exposure with?
Well,
students?
for me, I had like 4 people from China. I
Okay.
had 2 Indians. I had 1 person from Singapore, and I also had 1 person from Poland.
Really?
And he was like the only freshman from Poland.
So how do they work together? Because they're in the United States and they're coming from all these different countries, and now they have to communicate. How do you work through that?
Yeah, like the first meet is kind of awkward always. 'Cause
Right.
For one, it's like the different accents, and you're not used to that yet, and so you're getting used to that, and the ways people do things. Like, for example, the guy from Poland, he had never seen anyone eat anything with a spoon, or even consider the idea that you can eat with your hand in cultures like India, or like eat with chopsticks in China.
Right.
Like, he eats everything with a fork and knife, including fries. So it was really interesting for him to learn about these cultures and see what happens. And same for like everybody else, like how he never uses anything other than a fork and knife. There's like simple things like that. And after a few meets, like they'll get to know each other and like get to see the things that everybody else does and like what's unique about different cultures, and they slowly get used to it and then they're interested to know more.
So when they first get together, do you have to encourage them to talk to each other, to share information?
Well, a little bit. Some people are really forward and they like
Okay.
want to talk and they're really excited to like talk. And some people are like a little shy. So what we do generally is like we start the talk. Like we bring up topics and be like, well, what about this? Or like we encourage them to like communicate with and like talk about specific things. So then they get comfortable with each other.
So what kind? You mentioned some activities that you both really like activities, and you involve a lot of people other than 5 sometimes, right? So can you give me an example of some activities that really cause people to integrate and communicate and share?
I like to do a lot of Purdue activities.
Okay.
So especially in the fall, it's easy. I'm always taking students on Free Ride Fridays with the Boilermaker Special, or fountain runs, or just anything that's like really, really Purdue-y, because it really helps to like make sure that everyone feels like involved and like part of the culture, because there's a lot of students have a lot of pride in Purdue, and if you're new, it's really easy to feel excluded from that.
Yes.
And so that's what I always try and focus on, is like involvement in Purdue-related things. So we'll go to games and just different things like that.
Do you ever explore outside of Purdue, like into the Lafayette downtown area or anything like that?
Like we go shopping sometimes, like to the mall together, or like, I mean, like we said, right? Like if they're to go get like open a bank account or go shop like to Walmart, we always do that together. Like
Okay.
those activities together. And I've been to like a bunch of plays in Lafayette with my group, just
Okay.
to see some plays, stuff like that.
So I know that you've been participating about a year and a half, you said, right, in the programs, and you about a year. Is that accurate? I mean, sorry,
No,
3 years.
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, she's been.
So based because you've been in the program or similar programs for 3 years, do you ever hear from the students later when they go back to the
Yeah.
to their countries?
Yeah, well, we work with both international students who are going to be here for all 4 years and exchange students.
Okay.
And so students who are here for all 4 years, you have that really, really unique experience of getting to see them like go through. And I've had a lot of students of mine that I've worked with when they were incoming freshmen who then went to call out, went through trainings, and then became the same position as me.
Wow.
And so they were leading new students alongside me. And so that was really unique and just a great experience, because then in the fall, when you have new students arrive, you have students who are asking you questions like, oh, what size outlets are there, or things like this. And then you also have students who are asking you, McKenna, one of the students I work with is really homesick and I don't know what to do about it. Like, what can I do to help them? And so that's a unique dynamic. But then also as well, you mentioned the students when they go home. Sometimes your personalities click and sometimes you just are there to serve them while they're here.
Right.
And so sometimes you get really great friendships out of it that continue once they return home. And then other times they will ask you questions and never talk to you again. So it's kind of a hit or miss, but I've personally had some great experiences with it.
You have you too. I noticed your expressions change a little bit there. What are your experiences personally?
Well, with like the freshmen I met during BGRI, I'm
Yes.
very close to them right now. We live in the same dorm,
Oh.
and I'm planning to move in with them into an apartment next semester.
Wow.
So I'm pretty close to them, and as of the spring break, I'm planning to go on a trip with them to Yellowstone, and we plan to rent an RV and have like a very unique experience. So that's really awesome. And we just like hang out together all the time, and it's like a very strong friendship. Like we talk to each other if we have problems or if we are upset, and you just develop these bonds. Like I don't see all of them. I don't see 2 of them anymore. I see them around, so I say hi.
Right.
But with the rest, I'm like really close right now, and it's just really awesome. It's fun to make such good friends.
So the ones that you met, where are they from? What different countries are they from? Or
Well, like the guy from Poland, and there's a girl from Singapore, and 1 guy from India, and 3 people from China. I'm really close to them.
wow.
So
And so you're going to Yellowstone,
yes.
and you are going where for spring break?
I'm going on a study abroad trip to Cartagena, Colombia.
Which you're probably very excited about,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
When do you leave?
I leave in 2 hours, so.
Oh,
Wow.
really? Today?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. My
Yeah.
goodness. So you are leaving in 2 hours, flying out of Indianapolis, and then what time do you arrive in Cartagena?
I think like 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Wow. So, but the adrenaline's kicking in, right?
So, yeah. Gotta stressing over making sure I have everything packed and all those types of things.
And you are going to be exploring different nonprofits, international nonprofit
Yeah,
organizations?
we're actually studying the multicultural interactions of nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
And so the whole trip is basically talking about how people of different cultures approach things differently, and especially when you're doing aid work, you really need to take that into consideration.
And this is your second trip? No, it's your second, right?
Yeah. I'm enrolled in the Diversity Certification Program at Purdue.
Yes.
And so I get to do a lot of things that relate to diversity and learning about interactions. And last year, I was able to go to the Netherlands with that program to study cultural interactions.
So not only are you getting trained, but you are actually being the experience itself. I mean, you're interacting, you're doing things out on your own as well as continuing your own development. Yellowstone is a whole world in itself, and an RV is another whole world. So that's just going to be very exciting.
Yep.
At Cartagena might be a little bit calmer than Yellowstone, perhaps. We'll see, and I'll have to probably invite your friends back to see how that experience actually went. I bet it's going to be a blast,
It is.
though.
I'm excited.
In the nicest way, of course, because it's Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up, and I was wondering how do students find out about joining you or becoming a student leader? Is there any way that they can contact you directly? Should they talk to Annette? How would you become a student leader to be in your position for Mix or something similar to that, to be multiculturally active?
I would definitely just recommend stopping by Young 120, which
Okay.
is the International Programs Office. And that's where Annette's office is, and she is the best way to get involved.
Excellent. So you heard that. It's at Young, room 120, right? I think you're probably open from 8 to 5, a typical
Yeah.
day or so. And other than spring break, I'm sure you can go over there and ask about information. And they have tons of information about study abroad programs as well if you're interested in going to Cartagena or anywhere else during that time. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.